Three opponents suddenly ambushed Chen Du from behind, but he didn't show even a hint of surprise. In a flash, he executed the flowing light sword art, port stance, fallen dragon point thrust. With one swift and precise motion of his blade, he took down all three BB wolves simultaneously. In his mind, every movement was crystal clear. Having fought these creatures repeatedly in the crystal space, he had memorized their patterns, behavior, and coordination. This situation was nothing new to him, but he knew this was no ordinary fight. Before long, a loud curse echoed through the air. Chen Du glanced over and saw Moritz struggling desperately, straining to block the relentless attacks of the BB wolves. Inside Moritz's mind, anger and frustration were at war. He couldn't accept that he, who used to be a leader, was now becoming a burden to the group. As the BB wolves behind Chen Du repositioned themselves, he quickly analyzed the situation. He estimated that most had a life intensity of level 5, while the strongest was nearly 6.5. Although he could unleash power reaching level 7, he knew that if the monsters didn't make a move, he would have a hard time finding an opening to counterattack. He also noticed Lu Bo, who was currently locked in combat with three BB wolves. The fight was evenly matched, and it was obvious Lu Bo couldn't offer help to anyone else. In Chen Du's mind, the problem was clear: he was still falling short. He needed a bit more strength and speed. Just a small improvement. If his sword were only faster, he might be able to change the outcome. At that moment, a BB wolf howled and lunged at him. He didn't hesitate, meeting it head-on with a series of slashes. With a piercing gaze, he continued to calculate: 2 minutes. He just had to endure for that long. If he could thin the pack down to just one, they still had a chance. Slowly, his expression shifted. A strange light flickered in his eyes as he repeatedly pushed himself faster. He had to go even faster. He maintained his relentless assault until he finally felt the right rhythm. As long as he held onto that rhythm, they had a shot at survival. Suddenly, he whipped his head around at the sound of Lu Bo's scream. The situation was spiraling. Moritz had been wounded in the arm. Facing the monsters, a trembling Moritz started to apologize to Chen Du, but Chen Du cut him off immediately. Shouting loudly, Chen Du explained that the scent of blood would cause the BB wolves to go berserk. He ordered Lu Bo and Moritz to retreat and leave the area at once. The two were startled and nearly protested, but before they could speak, a BB wolf went berserk and charged straight for Moritz. In the blink of an eye, Chen Du leapt to intercept it, crashing down onto the monster and unleashing a powerful strike that finished it off. He didn't second-guess himself. He declared that he would face the remaining enemies alone. Since teacher Ling Yun was nearby, he wouldn't be in total danger. He added that this was their only way to secure a chance at the next round. They had no choice but to pull back. Ultimately, Lu Bo was forced to comply, pulling Moritz away while admitting they could no longer continue the fight. As Chen Du pulled his sword from the carcass of the dead BB wolf, he reconsidered the situation. When these creatures go berserk, their strength and speed increase, but they lose their sanity, attacking whoever is closest to them. This wasn't new to him. He had faced over 30 berserk BB wolves back in the crystal space. Now, he was facing that same danger once again. In an instant, a BB wolf charged at him with incredible speed. But before it could make contact, he immediately parried it with his sword, meeting its sharp claws head-on. At that moment, a critical realization hit Chen Du: the monsters facing him had reached a life intensity of level 7. Meanwhile, inside the High City No. 1 High School auditorium, the atmosphere was thick with heavy tension. Everyone's eyes were glued to the large screen, watching the battle unfold. One principal spoke up, noting that if Chen Du were to face a medium-sized wolf in a berserk state, his match would likely end there, even if he had mastered 99% of Tier 1 martial arts. Another shook his head in disappointment, having hoped to see a clash between the four great perfections in the second round. A third principal offered a slight smile, remarking that if Zhou Xiaogu or Ku Zongtian were in that position, the fight would have been over in an instant. Amidst the chatter, Mayor Ku silently observed the scene. He couldn't hide his admiration. Even now, Chen Du was still standing. Principal Zhou agreed, but there was a strange tone in his voice. Noticing this, Mayor Ku immediately asked what he meant. Principal Zhou explained that he had looked into Chen Du's background. Before arriving in High City, the boy had never once left Liang City. To the mayor, there was nothing odd about that. In the world of martial arts, talent is what matters. But the principal shook his head. The strangeness he referred to wasn't about talent, but the boy's fighting style. He added that Chen Du's flowing light sword art wasn't actually perfect yet, it hadn't reached the 99% tier 1 mark, yet he was somehow able to predict his enemies' movements without even looking at them. To Principal Zhou, Chen Du's style resembled a warrior who had survived a war, someone who had lived through a brush with death. This kind of experience shouldn't belong to an ordinary student. Furthermore, the BB wolves were creatures from the spirit realm, a fact unknown to most. Initially, the principal thought Chen Du might have a connection to a high-level martial palace, but it turned out he was just a boy with no known lineage. Back at the fight, Chen Du was pushed back until his spine hit a massive tree. In front of him, the remaining BB wolves were positioned and ready to strike at any second. He wasted no time. Moving instantly, he executed breeze in the forest, unleashing a rapid succession of slashes. With every swing of his blade, a blue light flickered, appearing to cut through the very air. However, not all of his enemies were hit. One BB wolf managed to dodge and leapt high, attempting to strike from above. Chen Du raised his head. His eyes flashed a cold blue as he quickly assessed the threat. The strongest among them was at level 7, while the others ranged between 6 and 6.5. Though they weren't many, they were far more dangerous than the green firefly giant he had defeated before. He didn't hesitate. He charged again. He struck one BB wolf, then drove his sword into the tree to use as leverage. Using that support, he lunged forward, locking his focus onto his next target. In his mind, there was only one goal: he needed to achieve a breakthrough. He suddenly jumped, gliding swiftly over the monsters to find the ones waiting for an opening. He would take them out first. With a fast and precise motion, he instantly decapitated one of the wolves. But before he could recover, he sensed a strange movement nearby. Something was moving with incredible speed. That was when the reality of the situation set in. The constant dodging and fighting were rapidly draining his energy. His body felt heavy, and his movements were becoming slower than they were just moments ago. At that moment, his decision was clear: he had to end this fight immediately. Chendo moved with blistering speed, dodging the BB wolves' relentless assaults in rapid succession. But internally, he cursed. He could feel that his speed still wasn't enough to fully keep pace with them. Despite his evasions, a shallow gash opened on his arm. Before he could even recover from his retreat, the BB wolves lunged again. With no other choice, he met one of them head-on with a swift strike. But in that exact moment, another wolf vanished from his sight and reappeared behind him, tearing into his side. Chendo cursed again in his mind. Yet, one thing had become crystal clear: he had spotted their weakness. He was just a hair's breadth away. But before he could act, a powerful blow from a BB wolf slammed into his body. At that point, his frustration with himself reached a breaking point. He knew he was still lacking. He needed to make his blade faster, stronger, heavier. He had to achieve a breakthrough. In the heat of the struggle, memories flashed through his mind: the happy smiles of his family, the grueling hours of his training, and the unwavering trust teacher Ling Yun had placed in him. To him, this wasn't just a simple competition. This was the turning point of his life. He poured every ounce of his remaining strength into his resolve. His mouth nearly bled from the strain as he screamed internally that he could not lose here. His expression and aura shifted. A ferocious will to win completely enveloped his being. With a massive surge, he charged a BB wolf. But in that split second, he felt something strange in his movement. He couldn't quite explain it yet, but something had fundamentally changed. He hadn't even regained his footing when the BB wolves swarmed him from behind once more. One of them even managed to clamp its jaws onto his sword, attempting to pin his movements. In that moment, a heavy sense of regret crossed Chendo's mind. If only he hadn't been so trusting of others, perhaps he wouldn't have ended up in this desperate situation. It might be a hard lesson to learn before facing the real world, but for him, the price felt far too high. Meanwhile, not far away, teacher Ling Yun watched Chen Du in silence. He sighed, thinking the result of the match was about to be decided and that it might be time to step in and end it. But suddenly, his expression shifted. He noticed a peculiar flow of energy circulating through Chen Du's entire body. Something was wrong, or more accurately, something extraordinary was happening. That sensation had originated from the very attack the boy had just executed. Only moments remained before he would be completely surrounded by two BB wolves. In a sudden blur, Chen Du swung his sword with such force it seemed to create a swirling vortex. He straightened his posture and, with one final, devastating swing, brought the blade down directly into the body of a BB wolf. He took a deep breath. That was when he finally realized the change. The movement of his sword followed the current of the wind with perfect precision. It was more natural, more fluid, and above all, far more powerful. He gripped his sword again and began to walk forward slowly. At that moment, a notification appeared. Congratulations to student Chen Du, your flowing light sword art has ascended from Tier 1, 98% to Tier 1, 99%. The scene shifted to the High City No. 1 High School auditorium, where the faces of those present were etched with profound shock. Principal Cao Yan couldn't believe that Chen Du had achieved such a breakthrough in the middle of a battle. Principal Li Mu was nearly speechless. Chen Du's level was now practically equal to that of their own teachers. Now, they were both at Tier 1, 99%. Even Principal Zhao couldn't hide his astonishment. Logically, even a medium-sized wolf den should be enough to exhaust and defeat a student at Tier 1, 99%. Yet, before their eyes, Chen Du seemed to be defying that very limit. Mayor Ku spoke softly while staring at the screen. To him, it seemed that Chen Du's flowing light sword art was far more powerful than anyone had ever expected. For Mayor Ku, what Chen Du was demonstrating could no longer be considered the typical strength and speed of someone at Tier 1, 99%. There was something peculiar about the way he moved, as if he were transcending expected limits. Upon hearing this, Principal Zhao immediately shared his observations. In his view, what they were witnessing wasn't just a simple increase in martial arts rank. He suspected it had everything to do with a mental power attachment that had nearly reached level 10 in strength. Mayor Ku looked on, unable to hide his admiration. To him, Chen Du was truly remarkable and clearly possessed the potential to become a soaring martial artist in the future. However, Principal Zhao remained serious. He explained that possessing such immense mental power while still in the stage of a prospective martial artist was exceedingly rare. Once it reaches level 10, a qualitative change occurs, where the soul can transform into a martial soul. Nevertheless, it remained uncertain whether he could reach even higher levels, such as level 15, in the future. He added that achieving Tier 1, 100% in martial arts is one of the 3 primary conditions to becoming a soaring martial artist, a formidable barrier that is not easily overcome. Despite this, Mayor Ku laughed, remarking that Principal Zhao was perhaps being too strict. For him, Chen Du's current performance was more than enough to be called extraordinary. Meanwhile, back in the auditorium, the students suddenly erupted in shouts. They pointed at the large screen, questioning why the MI City team had shown up at that location, especially after the Liang City team had just saved them. One student noted that he had been watching the Liang City team's movements for a while. According to him, the MI City team was the one that gave them the directions. Hearing this, another student cursed as the realization hit. The Liang City team had been lured toward the wolf den, they had been deceived. At the scene, the girl Chen Du had rescued asked Zhang Shuai if he was certain they could successfully claim the Liang City team's badge. Zhang Shuai replied calmly, telling her not to worry. He claimed that no matter how strong Chen Du's group was, they couldn't possibly handle that many BB wolves. He was certain the Liang City team's leader would be forced to intervene to save the students, and once that happened, the entire team would be automatically eliminated. He further explained that, according to the rules, an eliminated team must leave their badge behind. Since the badges had no tracking system, no one would ever know who picked them up. With total confidence, he declared that since they were the only ones there, the 2 badges would undoubtedly be theirs. A moment later, with a smirk, he told his teammates that they had finally reached their goal. Upon arrival, they were greeted by the sight of countless BB wolf carcasses. One of his teammates was awestruck, praising Zhang Shuai as a master tactician, almost god-like in his predictions. But suddenly, Zhang Shuai froze. Something was wrong. He couldn't explain it, but a strange sensation washed over him. It felt as if he had overlooked something critical. One of his teammates pointed toward a badge resting atop a pile of monster corpses. As he approached it, the girl commented on how impressive the Liang City team's teacher must be to have slaughtered all those BB wolves. Zhang Shuai remained silent. In his mind, it was clear a fierce battle had taken place. But as he scanned the surroundings, the feeling that he had missed a vital detail intensified. Cold sweat began to break on his brow. Panic set in. In the next second, he screamed at his teammates to run immediately. In his mind, the Liang City team hadn't been eliminated yet, and that badge was a trap. One teammate didn't believe him, wondering how that was possible given that all the BB wolves were dead. To him, it was impossible for a student like Chen to have killed them all. But before he could finish his sentence, a burst of blue energy struck his hand, forcing him back before he could touch the badge. They all turned around at once. From the shadows, Chen Du slowly walked toward them. His presence was quiet yet incredibly heavy. In a calm voice, he revealed the truth. He had killed every single BB wolf by himself. As he drew closer, he seriously asked Zhang Shuai how he had figured out they hadn't been eliminated. Slightly trembling, Zhang Shuai answered. He explained that he had examined the wounds on the BB wolves. He knew that team leaders were forbidden from carrying weapons, making it impossible for an unarmed leader to leave those kinds of deep slashes on the monsters' bodies.
The chapter ends here. Watch out for our upcoming uploads. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll always be updated on our future videos.